Hey friend, welcome back to episode 2 of my Psychology of Sales mini series that I am doing for you here on Passports, Profits, and Pixie Dust. My name is Lindsay Dollinger, and I'm really excited because I haven't done an official series like this in ages, and especially last episode and next episode. Not saying don't listen to this one, but I'm just saying this one's a nice bridge between those two. I especially feel like the episode right before this and the one that's coming after this are something that is a little bit unique in our industry that a lot of other people are not chatting about. So I wanted to open up that conversation and plant some seeds for you to, change your thinking a little bit around marketing, about the type of people you're working with. And go from there. So, a little bit of life with Lindsay. By the time you are listening to this, I guess let me look at the calendar. I don't want to lie. By the time you are listening to this, yes, I am on a cruise. And I'm hopefully having the best time of my life. Because last time I pre-recorded stuff and I was on a cruise, my dad fell and we had an accident. And I was on a private ICU jet with him from Mexico to Miami. And I had an email that went out that was like, we had the blast in Chichen Itza. And we did not even get to go to Chichen Itza. So I have learned my lesson about pre-recording stuff. However, if you would like to follow along with the cruise, if you're listening to this live time, make sure you head over to my, I'm mostly posting on Facebook, but a lot of the stuff cross posts over to Instagram as well. So head over there. Let me know if you have any questions about Royal Caribbean, about the itinerary out of San Juan or one of the Virgin Islands. And I'd be happy to fill you in on that. So without further ado, today we are talking about It's Not Too Expensive, the psychology of pricing and why our clients are actually saying no. So I know you have probably heard the phrase multiple times. Wow, that's more than I expected. More times than we can count, right? If you have ever sent a quote, watched someone talk about how excited they were only to hear, we're going to think about it, or it's just more than we wanted to spend, or we're going to keep looking. Whew, I hate that one. We're going to keep looking. Like looking where? Right? This episode is for you because we're diving into the psychology of pricing. And I want to start with something that might completely change the way you think about sales is that one, most people don't buy the cheapest option. And two, most people who say something is too expensive aren't actually talking about the price. They're talking about something else. So today we're unpacking what that something else is. If price was all that mattered, no one would be buying luxury cars or staying at the Four Seasons or sailing on AMA waterways or booking Adventures by Disney or staying at the Grand Floridian Club level, right? No one would pay extra for the balcony cabin, the Haven cabin, whatever, on the cruise ship. Yet every single day, people do, and those things all sell out. Why? Because humans don't buy solely based on cost. We buy based on perceived value. Think about it. Someone spends $9 every morning on their Starbucks without blinking, but hesitates to pay the $50 planning fee, right? It's not because the $50 is objectively expensive. It's because they immediately don't understand the value of the purchase. They understand the value of the Starbucks because that caffeine kicks in. Like, I was just thinking about that. I think I've had like 5 coffees today. This is probably why I'm like, let's record on the podcast, right? But we understand the value of that Starbucks, and we don't maybe quite understand the value of the other because people are maybe thinking, well, I could find this online and do it myself. Remember, your job is not simply quoting vacations. Your job is helping clients understand what they're actually receiving and then, providing on that. When clients say the 4 dreaded words, not 4 dreaded words, 3 dreaded words, I can't count, it's too expensive, don't automatically assume they're talking about money. Here are some of the real meanings behind those objections. And let me see, I'm counting. 4. I have 4 reasons or 4 things they might actually be thinking. The first one is, I don't understand why it's worth that. This is probably the most common. If someone doesn't understand the value, the price is going to feel high no matter what. Imagine someone who's never been on a river cruise and then you tell them it's $6,500. Whew. Immediate sticker shock, especially if they've done ocean cruising, right? Because ocean cruising, depending on the line, but ocean cruising, you could get a family of 4 for $6,500 pretty easily in like a balcony room, right? It's going to be some sticker shock. But if you explain that literally includes everything, especially if you're cruising on AMA, shout out to all my friends at AMA, it includes the daily excursions with top tier tour guides, your luxury accommodations, fine dining, wine and beer at lunch and dinner, and then happy hour and snacks in between as well. The airport transfers, maybe you put that in. They don't always include that, but Wi-Fi, gratuity sometimes, small groups, exceptional service, blah 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 blah. Waking up in a new city almost every morning, no hassle at all. That's one of my favorite things. Suddenly, they're no longer comparing it to the Carnival cruise, right? They're comparing it to something completely different. The value there is going to change everything. Meaning number 2 of if it's too expensive could just simply be I'm nervous. Travel's a big purchase. Sometimes one of the biggest discretionary purchases a family makes all year is their travel. People worry. What if something goes wrong? What if they regret spending that money? What if they pick the wrong destination? Sometimes it costs too much, and that means I'm scared of making the wrong decision. And that's where you come in. Confidence is one of the greatest things that we sell, and we do that by everything that I talked about on the last episode. So go back to that last episode there. Also, that I'm nervous could also mean that I'm on board, but maybe my significant other isn't. So keep that in mind as well. Meaning number 3, I wasn't prepared. And this one is kind of on us. So if you have been talking about Disney and showing the castles and the photos and the happy, stories, and then you suddenly send a $12,000 proposal without preparing them, that number is going to feel a little big probably. The price shouldn't surprise your clients because during your consultation, we're talking about realistic investment ranges. So it doesn't have to be complete, but you could use phrases like most families I work with spend between blank and blank. I just had someone ask me about an Alaska land tour, like a cruise land tour. And I was like, she wanted a range. And I had just quoted one a few weeks ago. And so I gave her that range. I said, this one that I just quoted for people for July for next year, balcony cabin is, I think it was $8,400, just to give you an idea. And she's like, okay, thank you. That's way over our budget. That saved me from the time of, going in and making this this elaborate itinerary and everything for her, only for her to come back and say, well, my budget was $2,000. Girl, you're not getting that for that, right? So make sure that we're setting those realistic expectations a little bit up front. Some other things you could say is clients looking for this experience typically invest blank for the level of experience you're describing, and then give them, some sort of a cost. The quote is going to confirm the expectations instead of creating a shock value. And then meaning number 4, which I kind of talked about with number 2, is, but sometimes it can be an excuse too, but I need my spouse to agree. I need to talk to my husband. I'll check with my wife. Sometimes it's completely legitimate, but often they're really saying, I don't feel confident enough to advocate for this purchase. So if your client has to go home and explain everything from scratch, you haven't equipped them, given them the tools, the summaries, the charts, whatever that they need to do, the reasons that you recommended what you recommend. Help them become your biggest advocate. This is why a lot of people recommend that both the decision makers, husband and wife, husband, wife, whatever, are on the call together, if you do a call together. That way they can both feel your energy and you can kind of read both of theirs as well. That's why I really like a Zoom call for this. So the biggest pricing mistake that I think we make as travel advisors is the apologizing or the shrinking or not knowing our value or getting really awkward when we start talking about price. We start off by saying, I know this is expensive, but I'm sorry, but I wish it were cheaper. Girl, can I lovingly challenge you? Stop apologizing for luxury travel. Stop apologizing for quality. Stop apologizing for your expertise. You're not the one setting the cruise fares or the airfare or the hotel pricing. And when you apologize, you're unintentionally telling clients that something is wrong with the number. Nothing is wrong with the number. If you want to travel, this is what you're going to pay, right? End of story. So be confident about that and say, based on everything you've shared with me, this is the option I would choose if you were my family. See the difference? Confidence, it's contagious. And stop leading with the price. Imagine someone walks into the Mercedes dealership and the salesperson doesn't walk over and just say, these cars start at $82,000. No, They open the door, they talk about the safety and the comfort, they point out all the luxury features, the performance, the tech, the reliability, the fact that there's only 500 of this one made and this is an exclusive model. I don't know. I haven't been to a Mercedes dealership, but this is what I'm picturing, right? They are talking about the experience, and the price comes later. Travel should work the same way. Lead with the transformation and the memories, the convenience, the service, the experiences, and then discuss the investment. However, I do want to say, and I just listened to a really good podcast episode by, I think it's called The Travel Agent Guide, and they were talking a little bit about pricing. And one of them, I can't remember which host it was, but was saying, however, when people give you a budget, respect the budget. You can ask, like, if I were to find something super unique that really fits that I want to show you, is there any wiggle room? Could you go up? Like, what's the absolute highest you could go? And see. And maybe they already gave you the absolute highest, right? But the budget needs to be on there, and we need to respect that as well. Here is a fascinating concept from behavioral psychology. So we're talking about psychology in this little mini series, right? And it's called anchoring. The first number people hear influences every number afterward. So for example, if I tell you the vacation costs 15 grand and then I show you an option that's 9,000, suddenly 9,000 is going to feel reasonable, not cheap. This is why if you see a ton of times when you are on a sales page for especially coaching products, where there's usually like 3 packages. The middle one is the one that gets bought the most, always, because people are like, I don't know if I'm ready for the higher one, but I'm not so cheap that I need the cheap one. Like, I want the middle package. So everything that I learned with coaching, back especially, when I was selling different coaching products and had different memberships and stuff, was to create the membership that I wanted people to buy. That was my middle offer. And then I would have an offer that was like a light version that gave people just a little bit of a taste. And then I would have something that, like, truthfully, I didn't necessarily really want to sell, such as like VIP coaching or something like that, just because coaching takes a lot of time, right? So I would make it ridiculously expensive so that when people are looking at these 3 options, they're like, oh, middle one, right? Almost nobody orders the really, really the top one. Almost no one gets the little bottom one either. People are going for that middle one. It's the same idea. And I'm not suggesting you manipulate people. I'm suggesting you provide context. Show the premium option, show the mid-range option, show the value option. Now your client has perspective instead of a single number floating in space. Let's talk about planning fees. I know this one's controversial. And I'm going to be completely honest. I still have not gotten to the point where I charge planning fees regularly. Now, if people have given me the go around or ghosted me and then they come back a second round, I do charge a planning fee for that. And I have yet to have anyone pay that. And I'm like, great. So you just saved me from wasting my time on you again. This is something, though, that I do want to implement at some point. But I'm going to talk to you if you do planning fees, okay? As your coach, as your friend. Charging appropriately is going to increase trust because people associate investment with expertise. Same thing with my coaching price. Would you rather have surgery from the doctor charging the least? No, right? What about the one with the waiting list? Unless it's something that you need done like right now. Yeah, I'd probably get on the waiting list, right? Price communicates confidence. Your planning fee tells clients, this is a professional service. I'm investing my time and bringing expertise. I'm creating value. The fee isn't just about revenue. It's about positioning. So let's talk about using the word investment instead of cost, because words matter a lot. So instead of saying the cost is 12 grand for this package, try the investment is. Instead of saying you have to pay, say, here's what's included. Instead of saying it's expensive, say this delivers incredible value because. Tiny shifts, big difference. Yes. Clients aren't hiring you because they can click book now. They could do that on Expedia or they could do that by booking direct. They hire you because they don't want to spend 10 hours researching. They don't want to wonder if they picked the wrong resort. They don't want to sit on hold with the airline. They don't want to navigate travel disruptions alone. So you're selling, actually, peace of mind, expert guidance, time savings, personalized recommendations, advocacy, stress reduction. The vacation is what they buy, but the experience of working with you is what they buy from you. And I want you to remember that, especially when you get in your head about like, I don't want to be salesy. Friend, we are not. We are not. And truthfully, let's be realistic. Sometimes someone really truly can't afford it. The answer genuinely is the budget. And that's okay. Not everyone is your client today. Let's not push people into booking trips that they don't actually really want to book, right? I don't ever want to be the reason that someone can't pay for their car when it breaks down next month because I push them to pay extra for a vacation, right? So we are becoming a guide. We're not pushing, we're guiding people. So some things you could ask: what budget feels comfortable for your family? What experience matters the most from these? What can we adjust without sacrificing what you really want? Maybe we change travel dates. Maybe we choose a different cabin. Maybe it's another destination. Maybe we start planning earlier and push the trip that they wanted to take next summer out 2 summers so they have longer to pay for it. We get to be creative a little bit in this, right? Because serving people well doesn't always mean closing the sale today. Sometimes it means building trust for the future. I know that when I have been in situations, and this has only happened maybe only once, and maybe probably like my first sales call ever that I actually hopped on, it felt weird. It felt gross. It felt like I was being like kind of conned into getting into this program. And I was not strong enough mentally. I should have just said no, but I didn't. And so I joined it. I regretted it the whole time. And I never recommended working with that woman to anyone else. Versus other calls that I've been on where someone's been like, okay, if you really feel uncomfortable about this amount of money, we're open for enrollment again in 6 months. And they made me feel really good about that decision and supporting that. So I want you to think about, like, how do you really want people to feel? I'm not saying we're pushing away our sales, and we're not judging other people's finances either. We're just listening to what they're telling us. So here's what I want you to do this week, your homework. Go back and read your last 5 quote emails. How often did you explain value versus simply listing prices? Did you justify your recommendations? Did you explain why you chose each resort? Did you help your clients picture the experience? Or did you just become a travel agent version of Expedia? Because Google can give prices. Travel advisors, though, provide perspective. So here's what I hope you take away today, is that price matters. Of course it does. But confidence matters more. Clarity matters more. Trust matters more. People don't buy because something is cheap. They buy because they believe it's worth it. And that's where your expertise comes in. Your job isn't to convince someone to buy and spend more money with you. Your job is to help them make confident decisions that aligns with their goals, because that's ethical selling. That's relationship marketing, and that's the kind of advisor that I know you are. So if this episode encouraged you, would you do me a favor? Would you share it with another travel advisor who needs this reminder that their expertise has value? Make sure you subscribe, whether you're listening on the podcast or over here on YouTube. And next week, we are talking all about why people ghost travel advisors and what psychology says about it. I think that's going to be super juicy. You're not going to want to miss it. So until next time, go out there, friend, and create and own your own magic. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.